To the April 10th Metropolitan Area Planning Commission. I am Chair Brian Fry. Thank you all for spending some time with us on this lovely April afternoon. First order of business, I'd like to welcome our newest member, Doug High. Thank you for being here, sir. Who appointed you, just for the record? Jeff Bluebaugh. So thank you. Welcome to the group. With that, we will have opening announcements.
Before we begin the agenda, the Wichita-Sedgwick County Metropolitan Area Planning Commission and the Wichita-Sedgwick County Board of Zoning Appeals would like to take this opportunity to welcome everyone to this public hearing. For those in attendance, copies of the agenda for today's meeting, the public hearing procedure, and planning department staff reports on all agenda items are available in the lobby. The Planning Commission's and the BZA's bylaws limit the applicant on a zoning, subdivision, or variance application and his or her representatives to a total of 10 minutes of speaking time at the start of the hearing on that item, plus up to 2 minutes at the conclusion of that hearing. All other persons wishing to speak on agenda items are limited to 3 minutes per person. However, if they feel that it is needed and justified, the chairman may extend these times by up to 2 minutes. All speakers are requested to state his or her name and address for the record when beginning to speak. When you are finished speaking, please share your name, address, and the case number on the sheet provided in the room. This will enable staff to notify you if there are any additional proceedings concerning that item. All speakers at the podium, please remove your face mask before speaking into the microphone. Please note that all written and visual materials you present to the Commission and the Board will be retained by the Secretary as part of the official record. If you are not speaking, but you wish to be notified about future proceedings on a particular case, please provide your contact information to the Planning Department. The Planning Commission and the Board are interested in hearing the views of all persons who wish to express themselves on all the agenda items. However, we ask that all speakers please be as courteous and concise as possible and avoid long repetitions of facts or opinions which have already been stated. For your information, the Wichita City Council has adopted a policy for all city zoning items. A copy of this policy is available from the planning staff. The City Council relies on a written record of the Planning Commission hearings and does not conduct its own additional public hearings on these items. The decision of the BZA is final. Any appeal of a decision of the BZA is to the district court.
All right. Mr. Wadle, please conduct a roll call.
Yes, sir. Fry.
Present.
Mader is absent. McKay.
Here.
Duell.
Here.
Bill Johnson.
Here.
High.
Here.
Nix.
Here.
Klontz. Here. Warren.
Here.
Joe Johnson.
Here.
Miles. Zimbelman.
Here.
Aldridge.
Here.
Williams Bay. Sir, I show 13 members are present and 1 absent.
All right, thank you. Next item is 1.3, and that is the approval of the prior meeting minutes from March 27th. I show Duell, High, Nix, and Joe Johnson were absent.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Miles with a second by Commissioner McKay. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion passes unanimously.
Abstain.
4 abstains. Abstentions. Is that right? Abstention. Thank you. It sounds better. Thank you. All right, so there is no BZA meeting today, no agenda items, so we will move on to item 1.4, which is determination of MAPC items that can be approved on consent. We'll start with the subdivision committee recommendations. Item 2.1, subdivision 2025-7, final plat for Willow Springs Addition, North 87th Street West and West 73rd Street. Are there any members of the commission who would like to hear this case? Seeing none, are there any members of the public who would like to hear this case? Seeing none, we'll move that to consent. Item 2.2 is deferred to April 24th. Item 2.3 is subdivision 2025-17, final plat for Edison Acres, West 47th Street South and South 295th Street West. Are there any members of the commission who would like to hear this case? Seeing none, are there any members of the public who would like to hear this case? Seeing none, we'll move item 2.3 to consent.
Move to approve agenda items 2.1 and 2.3.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Miles with a second by Commissioner Joe Johnson. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Motion passes unanimously. With vacation items, there is only one, and that is vacation 2025-9. Vacation request for East Waterman and South Terrace Drive. Are there any members of the commission who would like to hear this case? Seeing none, are there any members of the public who would like to hear this case? Seeing none, we'll move item 3.1 to consent.
Move to approve agenda item 3.1.
And do I have a second? Thank you. We have a motion by Commissioner Miles with a second by Commissioner Williams-Bay. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair, could we just make a clarification that's per subdivision recommendation and staff recommendation?
Per subdivision and staff recommendations.
Just to make sure we don't get that other,
Well, that's what's in the
Piece of it.
consent item, so by moving it to consent, I think it was, but I understand what you're saying. So, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, please say nay. Motion passes unanimously. Public hearings. Item 4.1 was deferred from March 27th, so we will hear that case, correct? Or we don't?
No, it would
We
just.
can move it to consent? Okay.
Right.
So item 4.1 is conditional 2025-35, conditional use for an accessory apartment on SF5 on West MacArthur Road and South Seneca Street. Are there any members of the commission who would like to hear this case? Seeing none, are there any members of the public who would like to hear this case? Seeing none, we'll move item 4.1 to consent. Item 4.2 is another conditional use request for an accessory apartment on SF5, roughly Northwest Street and West 13th Street North. Are there any members of the commission who would like to hear this case? Seeing none, are there any members of the public who would like to hear this case? We'll bring it back. So, thank you. Is the agent or applicant available for this case? That is you. Okay. And you want us to hear it?
Yes, it says here that it's approved with conditions. I'm kind of new on this. I'm actually filling in for Darryl.
Okay. So have the conditions been explained to you?
No.
Okay. All right, then we will hear item 4.2. Item 4.3 is staff recommendation of denial, so we will hear this case. It is a conditional use request, conditional 2025-45 for a vehicle storage yard on rural residential West Rie Street and East Stearns Avenue in the Hayesville area. So we will be hearing that case. Do we know if the agent or applicant is available? You're present? Good, thank you. Item 4.4 has been withdrawn. Item 4.5, Zone 2025-7, a zone change request from TF3 to GC, General Commercial, for South 135th Street West and West Kellogg Drive. Are there any members of the commission who would like to hear this case? Seeing none, are there any members of the public who would like to hear this case?
Yes.
Yes? Do I hear that in the back? Okay. Is the owner, applicant, agent available? Okay, great. So we will hear item 4.5. 4.6, now that's not actually a zoning case, but, so we will not move that to consent. We will hear that one separately. So we'd be looking for action on items 4.1 only.
Move to approve agenda item 4.1.
Second.
A motion to approve by Commissioner Miles with the second by Commissioner Joe Johnson. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion passes unanimously. All right, so now we will back up and start with item 4.2. Conditional use 2025-41. So we'll have staff present, and it's Christina, welcome.
Hi, thank you, Commissioner. Christina Reith with Planning Staff. This is case number CON 2025-00041. The applicant for this case is requesting a conditional use to allow an accessory apartment. The property is zoned single-family residential SF5. It is under half an acre in size and located at 1632 West Nevada Court. It's currently developed with an 1,800 square foot single-family residential dwelling constructed in 1965. And the applicant is requesting this conditional use to construct a detached dwelling unit on the northeast side of the property as indicated in the site plan provided in the report. So this proposed accessory apartment, should the request be approved, will measure 608 square feet and will sit 11 feet north of the existing dwelling, 20 feet from the rear, and 6 feet from the east property line. Accessory apartments are subject to supplementary use regulations as identified in the Unified Zoning Code. A maximum of one accessory apartment may be allowed on the same lot as a single-family dwelling unit. The appearance of the accessory apartment shall be compatible with the main dwelling unit and the character of the neighborhood. It shall remain accessory to and under the same ownership as a principal single-family dwelling unit. It shall not be sold or divided off. Water and sewer provided to the accessory structure may not be provided as separate service from the main dwelling. The character of the neighborhood is low-density residential. All surrounding properties are zoned single-family and zoned with properties to the northeast and west are developed with single-family residences. To the south, there is a school. There are no accessory apartments in the immediate area. There are no zoning cases associated with this property. The proposed use is in conformance with the Community Investments Plan. The Wichita Future Growth Concept Map identifies the site as residential, and so it is an appropriate use for this category. It is also in conformance with the Wichita Places for People Plan. The plan outlines 6 strategies that help guide the community in their actions to create walkable places within Wichita. Strategy 5 aims to provide a diversity of housing options to attract new residents and allow existing residents to remain in the established central area. While Strategy 6 aims to encourage infill and redevelopment that is contextual to the environment in which it is occurring. Based upon the information available at the time the report was prepared, staff is recommending the approval subject to the following conditions. The accessory apartment shall remain accessory to and under the same ownership as a principal single-family residence, and that is at West Nevada Court. Development of the site shall be in conformance with the approved site plan. There is a site plan that is in your report, and should the request be approved, it will remain the same. The appearance of the accessory structure shall be compatible with the main dwelling unit and with the character of the neighborhood. Water and sewer shall be connected. The applicant shall obtain all applicable permits from MABCD. And if the zoning administrator finds that there is a violation of any of these conditions, the conditional use may be null and void. This recommendation is based on the golden rules that are listed in your staff report. I'll skip ahead to the last one here because I did receive some comments earlier this week about the requested conditional use via telephone. They are in opposition to the proposed accessory apartment. And I believe there are some people here who will be able to speak upon that because they indicated they would be attending this meeting. So let's go. Let's look at the site plan here. As you can see that it is 19 feet by 32 inches in the northeast corner. Next slide, please. This is looking north towards the existing accessory structure. It is a shed and the applicant is proposing to demolish it. Next slide, please. This is looking north, so behind the fence there, that's where they are indicating the proposed accessory structure will be located. Next slide, please. This is looking north towards the principal structure. Next slide, please. This is looking east away from the site. You can see the school parking lot on the right side of the photograph. Next slide, please. This is looking south away from the site toward the existing school. Next slide, please. And this is looking west away from the site. And with that, I will stand for questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Nix.
So does the accessory structure have to be all brick?
No, it just has to be compatible with the structure and the character of the area. So not all of the houses in this vicinity are brick. The applicant may choose to go with a brick veneer if they so choose. Otherwise, no, they are not necessarily required to have a brick structure. Thank you.
Even though the house featured in the picture is an all brick house?
Correct. It has to be compatible. So with maybe similar materials. Smart siding might be appropriate, or stucco or faux stucco. Those are considered compatible materials.
Any other questions from the commission? Seeing none, thank you, Christina.
Thank you.
We'll now ask the applicant and/or agent to come forward. You will have up to 10 minutes to present and answer any questions from the commission. Please give us your name and address for the record.
Good afternoon. My name is Saul Garjeda. My address is 7237 East 24th Street North here in Wichita.
Could you repeat your name? I was so quick I didn't catch it.
Saul Garjeda.
Thank you.
Grajeda.
Thank you.
And the proposal here we're trying to do is, it's a mother and daughter that live in this house, and they actually want to just build an apartment for the mother with all the guidelines and everything that we need to accomplish.
So are you the contractor
Yes,
for it?
correct.
Okay. So the mother and/or daughter is not here today?
No.
Okay. As it relates to the conditions that the staff is recommending, are you in agreement with them?
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner McKay?
Is this addition attached to the existing house?
No. It'll be separate.
Thank you.
Any other questions from commissioners? Thank you, sir. We'll see if there's any public comment, and if there are, you'll have a chance to rebut.
All right. Thank you.
Stand by. Are there any members of the public who would like to speak on this case? Yes, sir. Please go to the podium, give us your name and address for the record, and you will have up to 3 minutes to speak. And please keep your questions directed and your presentation to the commission.
I actually don't have a presentation.
That's fine. You don't have to. Just in case you had one.
My name is David Fish. I live at 1600 Lyndhurst, which is right at the end of Nevada Court. And my property surrounds the complete west side of OK Elementary School. Nevada Court is used for most all parents and students for transporting their kids up and down that particular street, as well as for teachers to come in and pull into the parking lot. I'm personally pretty deeply involved right now. We've had a bond vote, and there were 10 schools that were closed in 2 months. And I found out that OK Elementary is possibly, it's not possibly, it is scheduled for reclosing, for closing next year in 2027. I do represent both myself as a neighbor, and I guess I'm talking on behalf of the committee also. Our team's mission is to keep OK open for good. Closures affect all neighbors, teachers, students. OK was identified as a 60-year or older narrative, which is not accurate. Had large rebuilds. It's structurally sound. Has a capacity of 450. For 450, it has a history of excellence. It's in a stable neighborhood. I actually went to school at OK. and all of my kids went to school at OK. Stable neighborhood, neighborhood support, city leadership. And OK has taught from this locale of choice. Their mission has been to teach from this locale of choice for 150 years. And so there were some budget problems with the school board, and they swiftly closed 10 buildings, and these 4 still remain on the agenda. And I've spoken with the school board the last 2 meetings.
Sir, you have about 30 seconds left, and if you had something
I do.
specific
Okay.
application, that's what we need to know.
Okay. I have pictures. There was a concerned neighbor. Everybody was concerned in the neighborhood. The structure it had been on fire, and apparently there wasn't insurance. It sat there for a long period of time. Somebody would come and garden in it. I've got pictures of their circle drive that was used as trash for all the rubble from inside. And it sat that way for a long period of time.
Sir,
I understand that.
Your time is
So
up.
my
Can you
time is
wrap
up.
with one sentence? That'd be great.
I'm gracious. I went down and talked to the neighbor next to them, because the only person I ever saw coming and going was the elderly lady that lived there that worked the garden. As I understand it, it's maybe a student that's been involved with medicine, and she's been in school. I went down and talked to her neighbor. A long sentence, huh?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. And just pointed out that it was a really bad representation on behalf of our neighborhood, and every single student and parent and teacher that was visiting OK School.
Okay,
the
sir,
superintendent
I'm going to have
probably-
to cut you off just because we have a lengthy agenda and we need to stay on point. So, thank you. Are there any other speakers? Mr. Warren?
I got a question, Speaker.
Oh, yes, sir. Can I go back up front?
Yes.
Yeah. I just want to know your comment. Are you in favor or opposed to this application?
I haven't heard whether anybody's going to live there besides the mother-in-law who tends the garden.
So are you in favor or opposed?
I don't have enough information. I've been pleased to see that the property has been improved.
Thank you.
I don't know if there's an awareness of the fact that it's part of the neighborhood.
All right, thank you, sir. Next speaker. Is there anyone else? Seeing none, we'll bring it back to the applicant and agent. Did you have anything that you wanted to add based on the speaker's comments? You have up to 2 minutes.
I don't have anything against what he said. Probably was just more concerned of shutting down the school.
I understand. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions for the applicant?
I got one.
We have a question from Commissioner Aldridge.
Yeah, sir, are you representing the agent or the property owners? Or are you just the contractor?
Kind of all three.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We'll bring it back to the board for consideration, discussion.
I would move for approval.
Second.
Commissioner Warren, did you have a question also or comment? Okay, so we have a motion by Commissioner Joe Johnson with a second by Commissioner Warren, and that's approval with conditions, correct? All right.
With conditions.
Yep. Any discussion or comments? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes unanimously. Next item is 4.3, conditional 2025-45, and it's Christina's turn again.
All right. Thank you. The applicant for this case is requesting a conditional use to allow a vehicle storage yard on property zoned rural residential. The site is a little bit under 5 acres in size and located on the southeast corner of West Rie Street and South Stearns Avenue. The property is currently developed with a residential design manufactured home built in 1989 and 2 detached garages. The applicant is requesting the conditional use in order to allow 7 semi-trucks on site for more than 72 hours. These semi-trucks are considered commercial vehicles in the Unified Zoning Code. A little bit of background on this: in January of earlier this year, the applicant received a notice of violation for having these semi-trucks on site without the proper zoning. The Unified Zoning Code defines vehicle storage yard as keeping outside of an enclosed building for more than 72 hours of one or more motor vehicles. If the vehicles were inoperable, the site would need to be classified as wrecking and salvage yard, which is not allowed in the current zoning. If the vehicles were parked for less than 72 hours, it would be classified as a commercial parking area, which is also not allowed in this zoning. Vehicle storage yards are subject to supplementary use regulations that are listed in your staff report. We looked at the site plan, and because of this, they are also requesting a waiver of supplementary use regulation number 4, and that is a minimum setback for any stored vehicles from any residence constructed before the conditional use is approved shall be 20 feet. The garage is over the property line in utility easement. So if approved, all storage of vehicles must be on the applicant's property. Normally in rural residential zoning, the Unified Zoning Code permits a property owner to store 1 commercial vehicle that exceeds 26,000 pounds. Because they're requesting more than 1, that is where the vehicle storage yard comes into play. The character of the area is low-density residential. Properties to the north, south, east, and west are zoned rural residential in unincorporated Sedgwick County and developed with single-family dwellings on large lots. There are no zoning cases associated with this property. The requested zone change is not in conformance with the Community Investments Plan. The future growth concept map identifies the site as a rural growth area that should be analyzed under the City of Hayesville's area of influence. The City of Hayesville's land use plan map identifies the site as appropriate for residential uses. Additionally, the Community Investments Plan's land use compatibility guidelines state that industrial and commercial uses in rural areas should be separate and distinct from lower intensity uses. Staff is recommending denial for the conditional use request based on the golden rules applied to every zoning case. Staff received 1 phone call from a neighbor in opposition to the request before this hearing. In addition to that, I've received some more public comment, both written and on the telephone, in opposition to the conditional use request. The statement provided by the public that is provided to you guys on your desks there. Should the MAPC determine that the requested conditional use be approved, there is a set of recommended conditions of approval at the end of the staff report. So with that, we'll go to the site photos. This is looking northwest away from the site. As you can see, South Stearns Avenue is a gravel road. Next slide, please. This is looking east away from the site. Next slide, please. This is looking south away from the site. To the west or to the left of this photo is the property owner's property. Next slide, please. This is looking southwest towards the site. We can see the garage here, as well as the principal structure of primary residence. Next slide, please. This is just the same photo moved a little bit more towards the east. Next slide, please. This is looking west away from the site. And I believe that concludes my site photos. Yes, and with that, I will stand for questions.
All right, thank you. Commissioner McKay.
Outside of the picture of the one house, what's the closest house to this location, residential?
I can see on my aerial map, there's a house here, and then there's also a house up here on the north side. Most of these lots are a little bit under 5 acres.
Thank you.
Commissioner Dool.
From that aerial view we're looking at, that one building appears to be outside the property line. Is that correct? I think you mentioned that.
Correct. They are doing an outside storage of commercial vehicles, but they do appear to be close to the property line, hence the waiver of supplementary use regulation number 4.
Any other questions from the commission? Commissioner Williams Bay.
Christina, they were not cited for the building being over the property line.
No, they were cited for the commercial vehicles on site.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and I did forget to mention, this went to the Hayesville Planning Commission on March 27th, and the commission recommended denial of the application. So with the Board of County Commissioners, it does force a supermajority vote in which 4 of the 5 commissioners must vote to approve it should they make that motion.
To that end, were there any, the denial from the Hayesville Planning Commission, was it different from the recommendation based on the denial from our staff?
They were both they're both recommendations for denial.
Did they have any other reasons, or was in agreement with our staff's recommendation?
They were in agreement with staff.
Okay, but no other considerations, no other factors?
There's actually a representative from the Hayesville Planning Commission here, and she'll be able to elaborate on
I
that.
just want to know if there was any other information that they considered as part of their denial.
Not to my recollection.
All right, Commissioner Warren. Oh, no, Commissioner Miles. He was pointing, I thought he was.
Christina, so did they have approval to build this building over their property line on the adjacent?
I did not
property?
take the opportunity to see when this garage was constructed.
Okay, but was that part of the violation or not?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Christina. We'll now ask the applicant or agent to come forward and give us your name and address for the record, and you'll have up to 10 minutes.
Okay, my name's Janet Bates with Platinum Realty, and I'm representing Miguel Reyes, who is the owner. And my address is 1255 North Drury Road, Clearwater, Kansas, 67026. Okay, and Miguel contacted me in January after he received that notice. So we've been actively pursuing other properties to move his vehicles. And so we've had our planning commission meeting scheduled for another lot on April 24th. So he only applied for this because this was what we were told to do. So $1,500 later, we're finding out we're denied, and we really just need it for a short period until he can get moved over. And we are actually looking at another city industrial park lot in Hayesville. So he's going to be in the same community. And as far as the building, Cleary Buildings built the building on his lot. And he is, it's only 5 semis, as you can see in that picture. And the tree there in the corner, there's a post on the other side of this. And I've had this happen on another property just last year in Hayesville. The GIS maps were incorrect, and we ended up finding a survey having to prove to them that their map was incorrect. So we are still working on that, but I did contact Cleary, and Miguel had talked to Brad about the property lines, and Brad had also said that these were not correct. It's about 200 feet more over onto the side, and even the seller, when I sold him this property, showed us the post for the marking. So it is within the boundaries of where it should be. And the parking of the vehicles, you can see where he has them here. He would obviously park them wherever he needed to. But again, we're going to move. We just need to get an extension for him to be able to do that there. It's in a rural area. He's talked to his neighbors. None of them have been disturbed by it. So, and it's not like they're there all the time. They're on the road. And his business has grown. So he's needing the space anyway. So he was already looking at going that direction. And I don't have any visuals or anything like that, but I did send Christine an email, and I think I pretty well covered everything in the email.
Okay, Ms. Bates, question for you. The staff is recommending denial, but they did give us some suggested language if we wanted to determine that it could be approved. Are you in agreement with those conditions that they would place on it? There are 9 items listed. Have you reviewed those?
Oh, down here on the recommendations.
It's on page 4 of the packet, where if the commission determines that we would approve it, there are some conditions that we would place on it. Are you in agreement with those? And more specifically, would you agree to a conditional use for permitting of 1 year instead of 10? If you are in the process of moving, you don't need 10 years.
Right, and I believe these would work for Miguel. He and I haven't sat there and went each one of these. Because I was under the impression they were completely denying it. I didn't know there were some conditions to get approved.
Could you live with 6 months?
Pardon me?
Could you live with 6 months?
Yeah, 6 months to a year. I mean, here's the process we've had. The one lot that he wanted in Hayesville, it took 3 weeks to find out that it's gonna be a $200,000 tax for all the lots that are connected to that street, but yet they're paving the other street on another lot that's connected to that street. So we're changing to the lot in front now after 3 weeks of waiting for an answer.
And again, I'm not sure that the neighbors are going to agree with this, but I'm just trying to find a way to yes that maybe everyone could agree on.
Right,
So-
yeah, no, that would be wonderful if we could get a little time for him to complete what we need to do with the planning and zoning, and then he's already has a design built for his
But we still have to hear
building.
from the public, so I just
Okay.
wanted to make sure you were familiar with these conditions, and while we're going out to the public, I'd like you to read through them again and make sure that there aren't
Okay.
any other issues, so.
Wonderful.
Any other questions from the commission? All right, seeing none, thank you, stand by.
Okay, thank
Are
you.
there any members from the public who would like to address the commission? Please come to the podium, give us your name and address for the record, and you'll have up to 3 minutes.
My name is Jeffrey Burris. I live directly north, 8828 South Stearns.
Could you point on the map using the cursor?
Oh, sure. This is my house right
Your
here.
property, okay, thank you.
Yes.
And your name again?
Jeffrey Burris.
Thank you, sir.
And this outline here of his property is very incorrect. I've lived there for 33 years, and when they did the surveying, my property line is considerably north and northeast of that line. So that garage there is not on my property whatsoever. So I have no problem with that.
Okay.
My property is directly north of property where Diaz Trucking is located. Having their trucking business located in a residential area has not disrupted our neighborhood whatsoever. They come and they leave, about between 5 and 6 in the morning. And then they get back about 1:30 to about 3 in the afternoon. We've had no problem whatsoever with them. They are extremely considerate. We live on a dirt road. A lot of times big trucks will tear up dirt roads, you know. They're very considerate, and they drive almost idle down the way. It's not far off a paved road off 87th Street. The area housing the trucks and maintenance shed is very well maintained and not obtrusive. The drivers are conscientious when driving their semis in and out of the neighborhood, whether in the morning or afternoon. We've not observed any increase of wear and tear on the road or excessive noise. The family that lives there, like I said, I've been there for 33 years. Some of the nicest people that we've met yet. We have no concerns. We have grandchildren. The neighbors across the road have small children, 5 or 6 years old. The ones north of me have a kindergartner and a preschooler and another one smaller. And then the family that resides there they have a third grade, second grade, and first grade, I believe it is. They're very conscientious of being very careful around kids and when they're in the trucks at all times. So I just wanted to let you know that they are definitely an asset to our community down there, to our neighborhood, and we have nothing negative to say about them whatsoever.
Thank you, sir. Any questions for the speaker? Seeing none, thank you. Is there anyone else from the public who would like to speak? Please, same, come to the podium, give us your name and address for the record, and you'll have up to 3 minutes.
My name is Kaylin Hogan. I'm representing the Hayesville Planning Commission today, 200 West Grand Avenue, Hayesville, Kansas. I just wanted to reiterate some information that was presented at the Hayesville Planning Commission meeting in March. The first reason for denial was the existence of other suitable property. The applicant is pursuing a property for a vehicle storage yard within the city of Hayesville, where the character of the surrounding neighborhood is better suited than at the subject property. The second was the length of the conditional use. In the alternative staff recommendation, the length of the conditional use is 10 years, at which point it would expire, and then they could renew for 5-year period. The applicant is only seeking this conditional use for an undetermined length of time in order to secure property within the city of Hayesville. Approval of the conditional use at the subject property would approve the applicant to use his property for a vehicle storage yard for at a minimum 10 years. Combined with the ability to renew, the applicant could continue to use his property for a vehicle storage yard and withdraw from purchasing better suited land in the city of Hayesville. The third was the reasoning for the request. According to the applicant, they are only pursuing a conditional use at the subject property because they have been informed by the Sedgwick County Code Enforcement that they are to pursue a conditional use for a certain amount of time until they are able to get another location under contract that is better suited. The fifth was the use. According to Wichita-Sedgwick County's Unified Zoning Code, Section 3, Appendix D 6MM, which are the special uses for vehicle storage yard in the rural residential district. Repair work, dismantling, or mechanical servicing of any vehicles is not allowed in any case in rural residential. A citizen in opposition of the conditional use at the Hayesville Planning Commission did state that the applicant is currently repairing his vehicles at the subject property. And that is all I have.
Thank you, Ms. Hogan. Any questions for the speaker? Commissioner Warren?
First of all, thank you for your presentation and letting us know what the thinking was of the Hayesville Commission was. I appreciate that. Thank you for your service. It's not always a fun job. Do you think that, and this is just your opinion, I know you can't speak for the entire Planning Commission of Hayesville, but if this was for a 1-year period with a 1-year subsequent add-on, if needed to be by administrative judgment, the decision would have been favorable?
I think that would be appropriate.
Yeah, I know.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other for the speaker? Appreciate it. Next public speaker? Anyone else from the public willing to comment on this case? Seeing none, we'll bring it back to the applicant agent, Ms. Bates. Yeah. Anything you wanted to add or reinforce or?
No, I appreciate Kaylin coming and the neighbor, Miguel, would really appreciate that because he is a very clean operator of his business and is very particular about his vehicles. And the only vehicle that I think I've ever seen in there was a car that he's fixing up. But anyway, I think he would approve with these zoning 9 conditions if we could get a year to be able to get moved over to this new location.
Thank you. Any Commissioner Miles?
So regarding condition number 5, that would require that all entrance exit drives be surfaced with an all-weather surface that meets the standards of the code, as well as that entrance exit drives, and I think where the storage areas of the trucks. Is there any issue with that? I'm just thinking if you would use this for 1 year and have to go through the expense of putting the materials down for storage, is that a problem?
What type of materials are all weather? Like he already has it rocked, and that is what he carries in his truck, so that's easily accessible for him.
Commissioner. Go ahead, Commissioner Joe Johnson. Or did you have something to add to that, JR?
I was anticipating a question from Commissioner Miles, I think.
Okay.
Could you answer that question, JR?
I can certainly try. So the code would require an all-weather surface that is a defined type of surface, is a minimum half-inch gravel, 4 inches in depth. So hopefully that helps.
So what it currently is, sounds like it meets it.
Yeah.
I haven't been out there, but just looking at the picture, I wouldn't be surprised if there's even some asphalt millings in there, which wouldn't necessarily meet it, but could. Guess would be yes, but I don't know.
I just wanted to make sure because that could be a considerable expense to put that down for a year's time, so.
Yeah, that's a good question.
If it was hard surfaced, it certainly would be.
Yeah.
Commissioner Joe Johnson.
Yeah, my motion is going to be 1 year with 1 year extension if they can't find anything. And I don't see any reason to do the conditions that they've mentioned since we're not doing this for a permanent basis. So that would be my motion.
So the only thing I need you to add to that motion is what are the additional findings to support that recommendation?
Based on what we heard from the neighbor.
Okay. Legal, is that strong enough?
I'd like some clarification in terms of.
I'm sorry, and also what we heard from Hayesville Planning Commission, they would agree to the conditions. Okay.
So could you clarify the motion? Is it just the motion to approve subject to the condition that it be limited to 1 year and
1 year
potentially with an option for a subsequent 1 year renewal periods based on the fact that statements from the neighbor that the applicant has been an asset to the community and has taken care of the property so far, and that and for the reasons that the Hayesville Planning Commission would agree with a limited term for the conditional use. Would that be accurate?
Well said.
And did we had a second by Commissioner Zimmelman. Did you have a question, Commissioner Aldridge?
I do. I have a question for staff on, I guess, the revised recommendations, on the 9 recommendations based on the findings that we've heard from Hayesville. Is there any comments on staff that they would like to add, change, delete? None? My motion didn't have any conditions. It was just as is.
Other than what the conditions that the staff is recommending if we were to approve it?
No. If we approve it permanently, these were the conditions, as I understood. But since it's a temporary 1 year option, I see no reason to do the conditions. Right, and that's where my question to staff is what their thoughts on that. I just want to get the feedback. If they don't want to comment, then we'll just let it.
So I'd like to make a substitute motion that we approve for 1 year with the conditions based on the same findings that Commissioner Johnson put out there.
Okay, before we go any further, I really would like to hear from staff comments.
Sure. I would just point out that in the conditions that were included as an alternate motion, number 2 would limit it to 7 commercial vehicles, would also explicitly prohibit it from sales, repair work, dismantling, so other activities associated with vehicles. So if that's not included in there, there still would be some prohibition just based on uses, but it's just not as clear. But the limitation on 7 vehicles is unique to this. The third one is pretty straightforward. You got to be on your own property. Number 4 is the time duration. Number 5, so if it's approved without that condition, obviously you don't have to have that surfacing. Sounds like it might be in place already, but just acknowledging that would not be required if 5 is not there. And number 6 requires a site plan. So you would not have, if you don't have that, you wouldn't be required to have a site plan. And then number 8 is a repeat of what's already required anyway. But number 9 provides the ability for the conditional use to go away if they're out of compliance with anything.
I'll second Ms. Miles' motion.
Okay, so we'll have to take the substitute motion first.
Can I ask a question after he said that?
I'm sorry?
Can I ask a question from what he
Yes.
just said? On that number 2, I mean, it's a garage, so you're obviously going to have vehicles inside there working on them.
So it specifies 7 commercial vehicles, so it doesn't regard inside, outside, just 7 commercial vehicles total.
So no more than 7. That's what it's saying. You can still work
Okay.
on it if
But
it's 5
in no
or
case
6.
shall it be used for dismantling or mechanically servicing any vehicles. So you can't do anything to your vehicles while they're sitting there?
Well, it's not there for you to open up a mechanic shop.
Right, and that's not what it's for. I mean, that's not what he's got vehicles. He's obviously, you got to service them to keep them maintained.
To what degree, though? This is intended for vehicle storage, not for not for a mechanic's
But the
operation.
garage itself, could he have a vehicle in the garage? That's what a garage is for.
You can have 7 vehicles. All 7 can be in the garage. All 7 could be outside. Either way, 7 vehicles.
Right, but the stipulation is he can't service his vehicles?
I think that would be correct. This is a residential structure. It's a residential dwelling. It's a residential area. Commercial activities are generally not permitted there. So the answer would be if he's servicing his commercial vehicles, the answer is no, they should not be serviced on this property.
I don't know exactly if he's servicing his vehicles there, but I think he has a Bronco that he works on inside it's a rural area.
Does he live in this dwelling?
Yes.
Depending on what he's doing with the Bronco, that might be acceptable as his personal vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
We're kind of cutting a fine line.
Yeah, well, I just want to make sure because I don't want him to come back at me if he gets in trouble for
I'm going to vote against the substitute motion because I think it's getting too detailed for a temporary use of what we're allowing him to do. I'd be willing to limit, if it gets back to my motion, to 7 commercial vehicles.
Okay. All right, so did you have your hand up, Commissioner Bill Johnson?
I guess I'm curious about all. I guess I'm concerned about this is a limited time deal, and yet we're going to put some restrictions for the next 6 months, 8 months, whatever it is. I don't see that we need to do that. In fact, I'd have done 5 years plus 5.
Thank you.
Okay, so any other questions or comments? Seeing none, we'll go back to the substitute motion that was from Commissioner Miles with the second by, was it Commissioner Nix? Okay, and that was for the staff language related to 9 conditions with a 1 year renewal option, correct? Okay, is everyone clear? Commissioner McKay?
Well, Ben's, we're back to discussing the issues of the 9 things. Number 6 talks about screening. Staff, I'd like to have your comment. According to that, how's he going to screen that?
Yeah, I think that's a good point because if it's going to be temporary for 1 year, how much in terms of vegetation or fencing do you do?
It could be 2.
My comment was a 1 year with a 1 year extension. We don't really know how long this use is going to be here. It is essentially a commercial use which requires screening per the code, which is why it's a condition of approval. And so I think it would be worth the board considering, well, yeah, we are talking about a temporary use, but it could be a use that's there for 2 years.
I think in addition to that, I mean, this limits to 7 commercial vehicles. He might over the next 2 years have 15 commercial vehicles there. I mean.
Not at one time.
He only has 5.
And the screening.
Ma'am, this is for.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The screening is not the entire property line. You would only have to screen the storage area, which is limited to 10,000 square feet. So he only has to screen the 10,000 square foot area where the vehicles are being stored. So we're not looking at a privacy fence around the entire property line. It's just the 10,000 square foot storage area.
Commissioner Warren.
Which would bring me back to the point that adding a lot of extra requirements on a very short-term deal is not worth it. I'm going to back the original motion.
Okay, Commissioner Nix.
I'm going to withdraw my second.
Okay. So the substitute motion does not have a second, correct? So we'll go back to the original motion from Commissioner Joe Johnson, and you wanted to amend your original motion?
Yes, to allow for 7 vehicles maximum.
Okay, and what was the terms of the length of the?
1 year and 1 year 1 year extension if he's moving towards finding another place.
Okay, and how are we dealing with the screening?
Nothing. I'm not looking at any other condition.
Oh, yeah, because it's not on his condition. Yes, thank you.
I'll second that.
Hold on. We have a second for that. Commissioner McKay.
My only question is, when does this start? 2 years from when? A year and a year from tomorrow? Giving me 3 or 4 days?
Well,
I think we ought to do a time certain start.
Still has to go to county commission.
Because Hayesville recommended denial, this has to go to the county commission for final action. It would begin, if the county commission approves the application with these conditions, it would begin from when the county commission takes action on it.
Okay. Commissioner Aldrich.
The only concern that I have really is item number 9. Based on your motion, you're taking away any type of enforcement. If all of a sudden they decide that, hey, I'm not gonna do anything else, where's the enforcement aspect of it?
I
If you
think
remove that.
we'll let staff speak to that, but I think enforcement is like any other place. The only thing this was enforcing was the condition that we were, conditional use.
The allowing.
Yeah.
Allowing it to be put into compliance.
Yeah. So.
Right, I understand, but number 9 says if the zoning administrator finds that there is a violation of any condition, that would change it.
But the only conditions that are now on this motion are the 7 vehicles and the 1 year with 1 year renewal.
I mean, the staff has that right to bring action against them anyway.
So correct, but bringing action in a court of competent jurisdiction and being able to revoke a conditional use are 2 different things. Yes, well, we
Still
are granting,
are.
if it passes, we're granting conditional use, it's just gonna have less conditions possibly than what it's currently recommended for.
In that case, do you want to revise your motion
Yes, I'm
to
gonna add-
include number 9?
I'm gonna add number 9, Bob.
Okay. So who was the second? Are you agreement on the second? Okay. So we're all clear. Yeah, could you repeat the motion? And before we begin, we haven't heard from Commissioner Klontz or Commissioner High. Are you sure you don't want to weigh in on this? Because we've heard from everybody else.
Here's the summary of the motion. It's a motion to approve, subject to the following condition. Approval of condition number 4, amended to read that it shall be permitted for 1 year and allowed to be renewed for a subsequent 1 year period. Subject to number 9, which is allows the zoning administrator to revoke the conditional use if there is any violation of the condition. And
Commissioner item number 2.
finally, will be a limit of 7 commercial vehicles at any time for storage.
1 year plus 1 year.
I've
Just
already,
1 year plus 1 year, right? Yep.
I've already said that.
Okay. Okay.
3 conditions.
Duly noted. Everyone clear? All right. I call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay.
Nay.
We have 12 yeas and 1 nay. Thank you. Making sausage from the bench. I love it. Next item. 4.5. Yes. Brad.
I'm going to move this microphone again. Yes, thank you, Chair. My name is Brad Etherly, MAPD. We are discussing case ZON 2025-0006. 2007. For this case, the applicant is requesting two items: a zone change from TF3 two-family residential to GC General Commercial District to permit a warehouse self-service storage as a use, and to remove lots 4 and 5 from protective overlay number 335. This is a 2.93 acre property that is generally located on the west side of North 135th Street West and within 500 feet north of West Kellogg Drive. The applicant has stated that he is looking to have a mixture of man caves and units to rent for business, and that no automotive businesses would be allowed. The properties are within this jurisdiction of PO number 335, which states that a homeowners association shall be created for the property zoned SF5 prior to the issuance of any certificate of occupancy. If we can go to the, thank you, to the zoning map, you can see that this whole rectangle is kind of part of this area, with the SF5 relegated to this very western part of the area. The lots in question are on the easternmost property and are not in that SF5. So to remove them from the PO would have no bearing on that PO. So warehouse self-service storage facilities are subject to supplementary use regulations found in the UZC if they are located in the General Office District or the LC Limited Commercial District. And with this going to the, possibly going to the GC District, those supplementary use regulations would not be upheld. Should the zone change request be approved, there would be changes to the developmental standards, which are listed in the staff report. They also are, they would also have to comply with compatibility setback and height standards, since it abuts SF5 single family residential district to the north and the TF3 district to the west. Landscaping would be required per the code, including a landscape street yard along North 135th Street West. Landscape buffer and solid screening would be required along the north and west property lines. And then according to the plat, there is a 25-foot drainage and utility easement, and then also a 45-foot access easement that exists along the north portion of the property. And we're just letting you know that, because if solid screening and landscaping cannot be achieved within those easements, an alternative landscape plan would need to be submitted and approved by MAPD. If we can go back to the zoning map. Property to the north is zoned SF5 and is developed with a single family dwelling. It also has an accessory apartment that is with the conditional use 452. Properties to the east across North 135th Street West are zoned GC and are developed with general retail. That's this little square right here. And then also to the east is GC with CUP DP 344, which is undeveloped, used for agricultural uses at this time. Property to the south is zoned GC and is developed with a church or a place of worship. And then property to the west is zoned TF3, which is part of this area and is part of PO number 335 and is undeveloped. The subject site was platted on August 3rd, 2022 as part of the Katie's Edition. In 2018, a majority of the property received a zone change from SF5 to TF3 with PO number 335, which required that homeowners association for that SF5 portion. Property has access to West 135th Street North, which is a paved 2-lane arterial street with a dedicated turn lane and sidewalks on the north half of both sides. City water is located in the 135th right-of-way. However, city sewer would likely need to be extended, as no sewer main is really in close proximity to the subject site, and Wichita Transit does not serve the subject site. The requested zone change is in conformance with the community unit or community investments plan, if we can go to that map. you'll see that the map identifies the area to be appropriate for residential and employment mix, which is defined as areas of land that likely will be developed or redeveloped by 2035 with uses predominantly of a mixed nature. It also says that due to the proximity of residential uses, employment uses likely will have limited negative impacts associated with noise, hazardous emissions, visual blight, and odor. The subject site is bounded by the GC district to the south and east. Allowing the site to change from TF3 to GC should not negatively affect the surrounding properties. The proposed rezone is also in conformance with land use compatibility guidelines. Under the heading Land Use Compatibility, Guideline 1A states that higher density development should be discouraged from locating in areas of existing lower intensity development, particularly established low density residential areas. With this subject property abutting GC district to the south and across West 135th Street North to the east, we believe that this is an okay site for this. If we can go to site pics. This is looking east away from the property across 135th at the retail store. Next picture. This is looking north down 135th. Next picture. This is looking northeast away from the property into more of the CUP that's across the street. Next picture. This is looking northwest from the property at the SF5 property to the north. Next picture. This is looking south down 135th. Next picture. This is looking southeast into that CUP across the street. Next picture. And then this is looking west into the property. And staff does recommend that the request be approved. This is based off of the golden factors. No public comments were received. And DAB earlier this week did recommend approval, just for your information. And with that, I can stand for any questions.
Thank you, Brad. Any questions from the commission? Seeing none, thank you. We'll ask the applicant and/or agent to come forward, and you'll have 10 minutes. Give us your name and address for the record, please.
Yeah, good afternoon. Logan Mills with Certified Engineering Design, 1935 West Maple. I'm the agent for the applicant. Little history on this property. The owner has owned this since 1993. As you can probably tell, it's overgrown, but it's sitting vacant pretty much for over 30 years. So it is overgrown with cedar trees. Back in 2018, we did help him do a survey, which led to a zone change to do the TF3. Since that time, or after that, then we went to platting in 2022. He ended up selling this lot here, which is lot 2 and lot 3, to the church to the south. So he is asking for, again, the flex commercial spaces there for these 2 easternmost lots. I think staff did a great job. Brad did a great job presenting. I can stand for any other questions you guys might have.
Commissioner Johnson.
You say they're cedar trees are not deciduous trees?
Sorry, what?
What kind of trees are there on that site?
Cedar trees.
That's it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm sure there's other trees on there.
Because it looks like it's really heavily covered.
Yeah.
Yep. A lot of cover. Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you, sir. Stand by. Are there any members of the public who would like to speak on this item? Yes, ma'am. Please go to the podium. Give us your name and address for the record, and you'll have up to 3 minutes.
My name is Kimberly Gonzalez, and I live at 1521 South Auburn Hills Court, which is just west.
Do you see it on the map there?
Yes.
Can you use the cursor to point to it?
So I am here, about this way. So this is like the entrance to our neighborhood, right through here.
Got it.
Down here is our addition for our community. It's like the retirement community part of it. So we were not really notified of this. I was told that we were outside of the zone for notification for it. So I have a couple of concerns because, so whenever I called about it, they told me that it was going to be flex storage. I wasn't sure what that was. I attended the meeting on Monday night. They said that it's, you know, for use for like man cave condos or whatever that is, and that there's been an uptick in those in our community. So I started doing some research on that. There are some popping up. There's some that's north of being built, north of the parking lot at Heartland Cardiology, which is not a residential area. There's another one that's at 119th and 21st Street next to a bank, which is not a residential area. My concern is whenever we are like, so these, like when I looked into these, they are selling them for $150,000 to $172,000 per unit. They usually have about a 15-foot garage door. When I talked to Dalton, who was there at the meeting the other night, he said we have about a 33,000 housing shortage. And so if they're $172,000 and you can personalize these to have bathrooms, to have lofts, to have kitchens, to do whatever you want with them, how do you prevent people from living in them? And then, so then my other concerns is increased crime risk, because whenever there are articles, even here in Wichita, where we have increased theft among the like storage facilities, higher foot traffic, and then impact to our neighborhood safety. Like how are we gonna regulate those types of things to make sure that our neighborhood is safe? Whenever we are kind of making this area say, this is $172,000, I'm gonna park my fancy cars in here and do my like fun little things, how do we prevent people from that not being a target for our neighborhood? And then my property value, you know, like our taxes just went up. We have just on this side of us, we have these shipping containers. And then over here on this, there's storage units over here. You know, we don't have 400,000+ these neighborhoods, there's some houses down the street that are about a half a mile that are $1.6 million. You know, we don't want to be trashed up with metal buildings surrounding our neighborhood. Me personally, you know, so how are we going to make that have curb appeal to make sure that it's doesn't look trashy with a bunch of metal buildings around our residential neighborhood?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Your time is up. I'm going to defer real quick to Jay. Where did he go? He left. Related to the enforcement on code and living quarters. This is being requested for a warehouse self-storage, which is not accommodations, and there is code enforcement to make sure that that doesn't happen. If it is reported there are people living in there, then MABCD does handle that, and it is complaint-driven, and there is a process. So that makes sure people are not using these as living quarters. So I got it correct?
Yes, that's correct.
All right, thank you. Any other comments from the public? Yes, ma'am. Same, go to the podium. Give us your name and address for the record.
Okay. Hi there. My name is Susie Blasey, and I am a neighbor in the neighborhood as well. So my property is right here, just to the west of the acreage that we're talking about today. And it is a very densely forested neighborhood, essentially in my backyard. I do have a fence that divides it. But that's what I look at is cedar trees and other types of vegetation behind my property. I have some concerns about this facility coming to the area. I have 7 grandkids. They come to my house. They're very young. They're too young to play in the front yard. They have to play in the backyard. They can't be close to a street yet. So they play in my backyard. And if we're talking about a facility that would have man caves, whatever that is, where people are coming and going all hours of the day and night. I didn't know about the living arrangements, so that would be nice to have that clarified too. Just that there wouldn't be that kind of traffic all day, all night. I don't know if that's, if it's zoned commercial, is there a restriction on how much noise can come from that kind of property? What hours are these kind of facilities open? So that's my concern. I want it to be safe. I have neighbors to both sides of me here and here that have young kids. They're grade school age kids. So we just have a family situation going on very near to this property. And so that's my concern, is just that it's a property that would be conducive to the residents that are located real close to it. That's all I have.
Thank you. Any questions for the speaker?
Mr. Chair, could we get the speaker's address?
Oh, yes,
I'm sorry.
please.
1510 South Auburn Hills Court. It's this location right here.
Got it. Thank you. Any other questions for the speaker? Seeing none, thank you, ma'am. Any other public speakers? Seeing none, we'll ask the applicant agent to come back. You'll have 2 minutes for rebuttal.
Yeah, and I apologize. I don't know if I said I was in agreement with staff comments beforehand, but we are. In regards to your guys' comments, I don't know as though I'm going to be able to, guys, tell you or make you happy. I think you'd probably rather see this as cedar trees, and I understand that. But this guy, unfortunately, doesn't have any control over those western lots, you know, that are there. Like I said, the lot 2 and 3 are gone to the church now. So that's all I had to say. So if you guys have any other questions.
Thank you. Any questions for the speaker? Seeing none, we'll bring it back to the board for discussion, consideration.
I'd like to make a motion to approve for staff recommendations and comments.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Aldrich with a second by Commissioner Miles. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. 12-1 in favor. Thank you. Did I miss it? Do you want to make a comment? Or are you just testing your mic?
Test my mind.
Okay. In case you wanted to. All right. Next item is 4.6, and I believe it's Justin. Hey, you better talk. That's it.
Good afternoon, Chair Fry, Planning Commission, Justin Constantino with the Planning Department. Here to talk about development signs in the county. Next slide, please. This is a development application sign in the wild. This is what we are discussing this afternoon. Next slide, please. The recommended action this afternoon is to adopt the proposed amendments to the Unified Zoning Code regarding changes to the posting of development signs, public notices, and posting of public notices and hearings. Excuse me. Next slide, please. The issue regarding development signs, you may recall we discussed this back in November of 2024. The MAPC approved this item back then. We have made some changes to the text in the code. That's why we're bringing it back. So I will discuss the background of this case and discuss what other communities have done, discuss those possible changes to the Unified Zoning Code, and then go over the draft review and update process. Next slide, please. So the issue at hand, next slide, please. Should development signs be required for zoning cases in the county? Next slide. A little bit of background. Next slide, please. So currently we have public notifications for any kind of zoning case, any kind of land use case. We send out letters to folks within the notification area. We also publish that notification in the newspaper. We do have signs currently as required by city policy. So it's not currently in the zoning code, but for properties located in the city, we do have a public policy for that. We do post public notifications on the webpage, and then for folks that are on the email list, we also send out notifications through email as well. Next slide, please. The purpose of the notification letter is to notify nearby property owners. The recipients are the property owner, so it doesn't always go directly to that address. It goes to the address of the individual that owns the property, and those addresses come from a title company. They are submitted at the time of application by the applicant, and we send those letters on behalf of the applicant. Next slide, please. This is an example of what a published notification would look like in the newspaper. Next slide, please. Again, the purpose is to notify the general public about the Planning Commission meeting and cases on the agenda. That's where the newspaper comes in. We are required to do that by Kansas state statute. Next slide, please. We also post the notifications on our website, so those are available to the general public. Next slide. And those cases are searchable by map. We have a GIS location where people can search properties and see the status of those cases. Next slide, please. And again, it is searchable through the MABCD Building Department webpage. Next slide, please. Here's again, City Web Docs page, MAPD. Obviously, we're getting those out there on the web. Next slide, please. Email notifications, the planning department maintains that email list. Neighborhood associations, HOAs, and business associations are all typical organizations that do subscribe to that list. City and county staff members, any follow-up communications for interested individuals. We have lots of folks inquiring about these cases. As you well know, they can sign up for the email notifications list. Next slide, please. What is a development sign? Again, to notify the public of zoning cases, even for those folks that are outside of the notification area. As I mentioned earlier, it's an MAPC policy for the city only, so not currently for the county. It is not required by state or unified zoning codes, so there is currently no requirement to post development application signs per the UZC. The sign should be posted at least 13 days prior to the public hearing date. The fee is $5 per sign, so when an applicant comes in to pay for their application, they are charged accordingly, and the enforcement is by the Planning Commission. I'll go into that in a little greater detail on the next slide. Existing MAPC sign policy, you could see number 8 there, just goes over everything I just mentioned. That's an image of the current policy. Next slide, please. There is instructions for posting the sign that is available to the applicant so that they know the location, how to post, and the posting time, 13 days. Next slide, please. Same information, just a different page. Next slide, please. I will go into other communities briefly. Next slide. We did a little bit of research on what other communities do. This is back in 2020. The goal of the report was to look and see what other information was contained on those development application signs. Obviously, we have the case number, the location, the address, but what are other communities our size doing? Next slide, please. The majority of places that we surveyed do very similar. So our development signs mirror very closely to what other nearby communities are doing. They have the case number, property location, public hearing date. Next slide, please. Recommended UZC amendments. This is what we're here to discuss this afternoon. Next slide. So again, the goal is to update the UZC with regulations similar to the existing MAPC policy in the city. As I mentioned before, it's a policy, but today we would be adopting potential changes to the UZC to put it into the code. Next slide, please. Enforcement, again, this would come down to the Planning Commission. Ultimately, it would be the MAPC's responsibility when a case comes in to determine that there is substantial conformance with what is going on in the Unified Zoning Code. So if somebody says this sign was not posted 13 days prior, ultimately that would be the MAPC's responsibility to determine whether or not that's true, and then a potential action would be a re-notification. So if this group did determine that the sign was not posted 13 days prior, we would simply re-notify and repost the sign. Next slide, please. Sign standards, again, that's a planning department administered. So when the applicant comes in, we tell them the location, how to post, and posting time. Next slide, please. Updates since November 2024. As I mentioned at the start of my presentation, this body adopted these changes back in November of 2024. The text changes that are in front of you this afternoon include the following. Section 4C has been modified to indicate that no development sign is required for a UZC text amendment or a code change. So anytime we're amending text, kind of like today, there's no development sign that's required for that. Section 4C has been modified to indicate that the applicant or applicant's agent shall submit a signed affidavit attesting to the proper placement of the signs on the subject property. So that's new. That'll be part of the application process. And then Section 4C has been modified to indicate that a photograph of the development sign on the subject property may be included, although it's not required. And then sections I through L, mostly cleanup text, they're newly added to this version to indicate that the notice shall be given in accordance with the notice requirements of Section V. So those are the big four changes from November of 2024 to today in April. Next slide, please. Draft review and update process. Next slide. This is just to give you a little bit of background on kind of how we got here. We started this process last year. We brought it to the BOCC a few times in fall of 24, followed by the Advanced Plans Committee again in fall of 24. I mentioned that November 21st date. That was when this was initially approved by the MAPC. We did make those changes and we are here today. If this is approved by the MAPC this afternoon, the next step will be to take it to the BOCC, likely in May. Next slide, please. Again, the recommended action is to adopt the proposed amendments to the UZC regarding changes to the posting of public notices and hearings. That concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions.
Commissioner Nix.
I should probably know this, but the notification area for the city and the county, are they different or are they the same?
They are different. It's 200 feet to 1,000 feet. So city 200, county 1,000.
And then you mentioned newspapers, so I guess they still exist. So the small newspapers in the county as well as the newspaper, is that right?
I believe we posted just to the Wichita Eagle.
The county paper is the Ark Valley News right now. So city cases are published in the Wichita Eagle and on wichita.gov legal notices. And then county cases are published in the Ark Valley News because that's the official county paper right now.
Thanks, Philip.
And the last observation, I don't want to prolong the meeting, but I don't know who decided on the color scheme for the signs, but if you really want somebody to notice and see them, you probably would have gone with one of these other communities that you surveyed where you have the bright yellow sign. Just an observation.
Commissioner Warren.
Justin, what was the thinking that photographs could be optional? Why not just require that?
Well, I'll maybe defer to Scott briefly on that.
Yeah, it just comes down to the process. How engaged and involved do we want the process? The affidavit was felt to be a good balance between a level of effort and level of assurance. Requiring the photographs, it becomes a question about, well, who's responsible to check and make sure that we got the photographs, just the whole process that's entailed with that. Certainly open to it if you think that that's a better solution, but just trying to balance effort and return on investment.
Justin, this language for the changes, the 4 bullet points, 4C, and then sections I through L, those are also going to be applied to the city zoning?
Yes, sir, both city and county.
Has the city already heard this, or will they have to approve this as well?
The city will have to approve this as well because this was initiated by the county. We will go to the county first in May, followed by the city in June.
Okay, thank you. Just to make sure that was clear. Commissioner McKay?
I'd like to hear the reason again for the affidavit.
Yeah, that one, the affidavit comes up because it would be just another piece of evidence that they've done what they need, what they're required to do in terms of putting out the sign for 13 days. I think that is the bigger part of the contention with this one is if it is contested, then if it gets to the point where someone is contesting the decision and it goes to court, then what kind of evidence is there to verify that the sign was put out there and that the process was complied with.
But in the past, we've had people come in and complain about in the city that the signs are not there, and we all know they were. They just didn't know where to look for them. So how do you take care of that?
Currently, the process is that if an issue comes up, we look to you all after you've heard the evidence and testimony from comments from folks to make a decision about whether or not there's been substantial conformance. If you feel that there hasn't, you always have the opportunity to defer the case with instruction that additional public notice is to be provided, whether that's putting out the sign or doing mailed out notification, et cetera. You do have that option, or you can always find that substantial conformance has been achieved and that proper notice has been given and proceed with considering deliberating the case.
Okay, along with an affidavit, it's a legal document which says, I've done this, and I do it, and 2 days later somebody tears it down or it gets blown away or something. What's the alternative to that?
That becomes the alternative to that was exploring the idea of doing photographs, requiring the applicant or the agent to submit photographs indicating that it's out there. Again, all of these are difficult because unless you're going to get a videotape that is recording 24/7 for the entire 13-day period, you would have no consistent evidence other than a point in time, whether it be an affidavit or a photograph or someone coming in and providing comments and testimony that they've seen the sign or didn't see the sign.
That was kind of my point of why the affidavit. What does it secure or help anything?
It just gives you a record.
I think the affidavit just would put the onus on the applicant to provide one additional step of evidence.
Any other questions for the commission, from the commission? Seeing none, is there anyone from the public here that would like to make a comment? I'll make sure I'm not missing anyone. Not seeing anyone, we'll bring it back to the board. I'll make a motion that we adopt the proposed amendments to the Unified Zoning Code and recommend adoption by the City Council and the Board of County Commissioners.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. 12-1 in support. That brings a close to our hearing items. Our next meeting is April 24th. I will not be here, so it'll be in the capable hands of Vice Chair Commissioner Aldridge. Commissioner Zimmelman. Yes, sir.
So, last couple of meetings, we've been getting presented these man cave ideas. And I'm kind of bothered by this because the owners of these, when they sell it, they're going to tell the new owner, we put a 100 amp panel in here and it's right over there and the water hookup's right over there and all of this. And pretty soon the owner is going to say, well, I know a guy that knows a guy that knows a guy can put in this little electrical for you, and he's unlicensed and unpermitted. So these are going to turn out to be dwellings that MABCD doesn't even know about. Now, I know we don't have the power to stop that, but I think we ought to include language, if we can, on these kind of cases that says under no circumstances will these be used as dwellings without the consent of MABCD. Just so we covered ourselves that we did not approve a dwelling that's not a dwelling. That's my comment.
That's a good point. Mr. Waddle.
If I could, sir. What I'd suggest is perhaps we could add that to the agenda for advanced plans and then perhaps bring some options or ideas to the advanced plan subcommittee.
That's good. Thank you. Any other items for
But what about the
Commissioner
fact
Miles?
that no women caves are being created?
Those are called she sheds. We don't have he sheds. We have she sheds. Commissioner Joe Johnson, do you have a comment?
We have a place next to our beautiful development called the Barnuminium, and that does allow for someone to live in.
Yeah. Is it zoned for it?
I've asked that question to the guy right there, but he's not here.
And I do believe that barn dominiums, sometimes referred to as accessory dwelling units, that it's a barn that would have a dwelling unit inside of it, kind of like a, Okay, so that's a little bit different than what we've talked about with man caves, I think of as more of like a self-storage unit that has been outfitted with a couch and has an electrical panel for a TV. And I think often they have a shared restroom, maybe like a centralized bathroom facility for it.
Bourbon, scotch, and cigars.
You're still on record. We haven't closed the meeting out.
There was a reference to alcohol sometimes being in them.
Yeah. No, and again, I think as this has changed in some of these new dwelling units or accessory units, man caves get developed, you're seeing a lot of that activity. And sometimes they're used as temporary living quarters, right? For a night, or depending upon how long they get kicked out of the house and need to go to their man cave, right? So,
You know, even the county appraiser's office has had a tough time with those, because a lot of them are built in commercial areas and stuff, and they're not exactly commercial, so they're having a tough time on whether or not, you know, it's gonna be a 25.5% tax bracket or 11.5 tax bracket. It just depends on how you set it up.
yep. Definitely something to keep an eye on and discuss as part of advanced plans. Any other comments? All right, with that, we're adjourned. Thank you all.